Hello everyone, welcome to part 2. So here we'll be discussing about what is meant by process and why process is important, why you need to know process when we are talking about quality, and what are the different process improvement methodologies that prevail in market today. And in part 3, I'll be covering in detail about the process improvement methods. I will take you through the brief on different process improvement methods and how that is applied today in the industry. Let's not waste time. Let's get into the actual content. Let's talk about the process. So to take you through a definition of process, why I do this is like I want you to know like how important for you to know what process is and how it's vital to improve the quality of the product or a service that you're trying to improve. Just to give you a definition, a process is a set of interrelated or interacting activities which transforms a set of inputs into outputs. That's a standard definition, but let's not spend more time here. Let's move on to the next slide so that for you to understand the process in a more better way. You see this here. Let's forget about the uncontrolled process or the different aspects of this. You have something called output. Output is your finished product or a service which is consumed by the customer. Okay, I want to improve the output. But how I'm going to improve the output? Can you do anything on the output? No. You use a set of processes you follow internally, which is like interrelated or interacting activities, which is correlated with each other, which transforms your input. Input is otherwise the raw material, your resources, your knowledge, your money, like everything put together is your input, which transforms your set of inputs to a desired output. A desired output is what you're trying to sell it to your customer, right? So what you have to do if you wanted to improve your output, that means your output is not meeting the customer requirement and you want to improve to meet the customer expectations, you need to improve the process. You need to improve the input. If you have a quality input, if you have a quality process, which means you produce a quality output. That is the ultimate aim or a concept behind the process improvement. So that is why we say it's a process improvement. It's not just a quality improvement. It's we call this as a process improvement because we're going to improve the process. We're going to improve the input so that the output, which is consumed by the customer, automatically improves. That's the ultimate aim behind this. So just to reiterate the definition, a process is a set of interrelated or interacting activities which transforms input to the output. I also mentioned something here called process approach, where I also insist on process approach. Rather than disconnected activities, I also insist on having an interrelated activities, well-defined processes, which talks to each other, which talks on each stage, so that your transition is smooth from one stage to another, which improves the quality of the output. That was the ultimate aim behind adapting to the process approach method. We will discuss this in detail in the later slide, but for you to know, there is something called a process approach. It's otherwise an interconnected system, interconnected processes within the system, which has a smooth transition among each other, and otherwise interrelated or interacting activities. Let's go in deeper about the other aspects of process for you to know better. There is something called uncontrolled process. This is what we talk about an uncontrolled process. What is meant by uncontrolled process? If you see in this particular image, there is an output and there is a criteria which is provided by the customer. You have an input and you have a process. Do you have a measurement system in place in order to measure your process output against the customer criteria? Here, we are not measuring anything, we are not taking any action. This is just an open loop process, and customer is complaining, customer is not happy with the product, but we don't measure our process or our input based on the criteria provided by the customer. This is otherwise called as uncontrolled process. If you don't have a measurement system in place, if you don't have a well-defined process, if you don't have a standard input, it will create a lot of issues in the output. In otherwise, the the product or a service consumed by the customer. So what you're supposed to do, the first step, you have to define the criteria, what the customer wants. Second, you need to put the measurement system in place to make sure whatever the customer criteria is measured against your process performance. And we will talk about this in detail in the next slide. You see this in the next slide. I have a criteria defined, I have a measurement plan in place, and whatever is the outcome of this exercise that I'm comparing the criteria against the measurement plan, I'm giving the feedback back to my input or the process, which means I'm using this information to improve my input or the process. That is the ultimate aim behind this. So whenever we talk about improving the output, it's not that we are improving the output. It's technically we are improving the input, we are improving the process, so we get a better output to the customer. That is the ultimate aim doing any process improvement project. So I already gave you the definition of process improvement. So which means technically you improve the process, you improve the input based on your measurement system, which is again linked with the customer criteria. You cannot just have a measurement system that has no interlink with the customer criteria. You cannot just measure based on your own willingness to measure. You should know who's your customer, what is their expectation, which is otherwise in criteria. Then you should have a process measurement in place which links back to your input of the process. That's the ultimate aim. If you don't have the system, please don't do any process improvement. The first step to do is to set up the system in place. And I advise you to go with the ISO certification, or I advise you to follow the EFQM, which is the European Foundation for Quality Management Framework, which will help you to set the baseline first. If you wanted to go further, you have to set the base correctly, which is setting up your measurement system, your documentation, your basic process approach is defined, and the roles and responsibilities are well understood among the peers that is in your organization. Then we think about the improvement. Always, like I mentioned earlier, quality is all about meeting the expectation, not exceeding. Which means you have to set the basics right. The basic is to set up the criteria, set up the measurement system, and set up the roles and responsibilities, document your process, and so that everybody understands their roles and responsibility and you start measuring the performance. Once you have a measurement in place, then we think about, are we meeting the customer expectation? This is the next set. And the next set is like how we are going to meet the customer expectation in a consistent manner, because consistency drives the business and it is directly linked with the customer satisfaction, customer experience, which means it's going to directly contribute to your balance sheet. So process improvement is a methodology, it's a collection of different methodologies, just not one methodology, as a philosophy, which is going to help you to meet the customer expectation in a consistent manner. You're not going to exceed, because if the customer is not ready to pay, it's a cost for the business. We're not going to go down, which is a problem, which is otherwise dissatisfied customers. We are going to bring it to everybody into the same scale. I accepted certain criteria with you. I'm going to consistently meet what I agreed with the customer, or meet the customer expectation in a consistent manner. This is what otherwise called a process improvement. Just to give you a quick brief on different methodologies that is available in process improvement. Likewise, the definition which I've already shared with you. What do? We reduce waste, we increase efficiency, we improve quality, which is effectiveness. Ultimately, it reduces cost, because you're going to cut the rework, you're going to cut the external failure cost, you're going to prevent the loss of customer, you're going to keep your employees happy, which means you're going to reduce cost. You're going to contribute directly to your balance sheet. That was the ultimate aim of doing a process improvement project. Just to give you a brief on different methodologies. This otherwise a process improvement focus, or a cycle of process improvement we call. You can focus on the standardization of your existing process. You can implement new methods to prevent or meet the customer requirement on a consistent manner. You solve problems which is reported by the customers, otherwise a complaints in other words. Expose problems, where you proactively study your process and see where this particular problem might happen, or where is a possibility of error that would lead to the customer's dissatisfaction, and you proactively fix on that. This is some of the approaches, but these are not the only approach. There are different methods that you can apply in order to achieve this kind of cycle of process improvement. Likewise, I told you the ultimate, I could call this as a basic principle behind the process improvement. If you see in the bottom, I've given two statements. You either do more with the same. You have the same set of resources, you have same set of people, you have the same, you're not investing more money on, but how I'm going to bring an efficiency so that I can do more, so that it improves your productivity end of the day to meet the customer demand. But you're not going to add cost to the business. That was the ultimate aim behind the first principle. Second, doing the same with less. Let's say the customer demand is met, but you have excess resource in place, you have excess systems in place. What it happens is like you're adding more cost to your product or a service because of this. So the second principle behind this is like how I'm going to do the same with less. In other words, how I'm going to eliminate the waste from my business, or the fat from my business technically, which is adding no value or adding too much cost to my product or a service to the customer. And if you're going to apply this two mindsets when it comes to the process improvement, it would be much easier for you to see that where I can improve the process. Can you do more with the existing resource I have? Can you do the same with less resource I have? So this was end of the day. First, we are going to meet the customer demand, which will boost the balance sheet. Second, we are going to give the product with a better pricing. The second aspect, so we will have a better market share, and end of the day, less cost and less redundancy in our business. And people would be happy because we don't want people to come and sit idle. We don't want to have unwanted systems where we invest so much money on, but we don't get any value out of it. So whenever you think about the process improvement, apply this two thinking. Doing more with same, do the same with less. Is it possibility to apply any one of this in your particular process? Take it through different methodologies. I'm just going to give you the industry prevailing methodologies. There are like many methods that is available in the market, but this is some of the well-known methods that when we talk about quality, this is a well-known method that you can apply in the process. There is something called PDCA. I'm going to take you through a lean. I'm going to take you through QC tools, otherwise called as 7QC. I'm going to take you through a brief of Six Sigma. There is a lot of debate about Lean Six Sigma, quality tools, and whenever you get into the forum, like people talk about, yes, Lean is better, Six Sigma is better, you will see a lot of fight. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Let's take the step back. The ultimate aim for this training program is to make you understand or make you aware of these existing tools and techniques. Which is better for your process? You're the right person to choose. You're the subject matter expert. You know which suits your particular need. And this brief will help you to choose the right tool, whichever is relevant to your particular business process. Uh, just to give you a quick aspect on PDCA. PDCA is Plan to Check Act. This is one of the project management cycle. We will discuss this in detail in the next video. We will talk about lean. Lean is other way of systematically eliminating waste from your process. We will discuss this in detail. A lot of people disagree with me when I say lean is about elimination of waste only. Lean is looked or perceived in different ways. It's actually, we will discuss this in detail in the forthcoming slides. There is something called, third aspect is QC tools or quality control tools, 7 quality control tools. This is something, a set of 7 tools which a manager can apply at any point of time in the process to improve quality. This is a collection of data analysis tools. This is a collection of qualitative analysis tools, but it's very easy to apply. Any manager or any employee can apply in order to improve the quality of your particular process or a service. Six Sigma. Six Sigma is one of the methodologies that you can again apply in order to improve the process. We will talk, Six Sigma is more of a data-oriented approach, which we will talk in detail in the forthcoming slide. Six Sigma uses a standard framework. They call this as a DMARC framework, which stands for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control. It's a combination of a project management as well as the data analysis framework. It just will not give you a a tool, but it gives you an entire roadmap of how to manage a particular project in a more structured way. That is what the Six Sigma is going to do. We will discuss about each tools in detail. Let us do that in the forthcoming video. And thank you for watching part two. In part three, I will be going deep into each of these tool sets. So the part three is going to be the bit lengthy video when compared with the other two sessions. So I'm going to split part three as well into two videos so that you can understand, you can spend time based on your convenience. Thank you for watching this video, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.